Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara sabilihi ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd. So as we continue discussing the book Al-Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari by Al-Hafiz Al-Zabidi rahimahullah, that he made this Mukhtasar, the summary of Sahih Bukhari, and we have been discussing the hadith of this book, and we're in the chapter relating to matters regarding Salah.
What? There's nothing wrong?
Huh?
Something wrong?
Yeah, they're screaming.
Oh, okay. تفضل.
So inshallah we pick up from where we had stopped with author rahimahullah, that mentioned those hadith relating to some of those ahkam that relates to al-masjid. So some of those ahkam that relates to the masjid regarding of those things that are allowed and of those things that are not allowed inside a masjid. So we'll be picking up from where we had stopped in the last lesson regarding matters that relates to this particular topic. Aywa.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله. Chapter 31. The distribution of goods or wealth and the hanging of a cluster of dates in the masjid. Hadith number 269, narrated by Anas radiallahu anhu. Some goods or wealth came to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam from Bahrain. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered the people to spread them in the mosque. It was the biggest amount of goods or wealth Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam had ever received. He left for as-salah, the prayer, and did not even look at it. After finishing the salah, he sat by the goods or wealth and gave from those to everybody he saw. Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu came to him and said, O Messenger of Allah, give me something too, because I gave ransom for myself and Aqil. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam told him to take. So he stuffed his garment with it and tried to carry it away, but he failed to do so. He said, O Allah's Messenger, order someone to help me in lifting it. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam refused. He then said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, will you please help me to lift it? Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam refused. Then Al-Abbas threw some of it and tried to lift it, but failed. Then Al-Abbas lifted it on his shoulders and went away. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam kept on watching him till he disappeared from his sight and was astonished at his greediness. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not give up till the last coin was distributed. Hadith number 32.
The same chapter? Two hadith?
No, hadith wahid.
Okay. Hey, so the author rahimahullah that he mentioned regarding this hadith regarding al-qisma wa ta'liq al-qinwa fil masjid, where he discussed of those matters that relates to things that are allowed within the masjid. So he discussed that based upon the hadith that is mentioned here of Anas bin Malik radhiyallahu anhu, that certain goods or certain things of wealth was sent to the Prophet al-Islam, and it came from Bahrain. So this things of wealth that it came from Bahrain to the Prophet al-Islam, and the Prophet al-Islam that he had this good to be left inside the masjid. So this wealth that came, that the Prophet al-Islam instructed for these things, these items, to be left inside the masjid. So the mention regarding concern this item, it is matters of dates that were sent and left in the masjid. So the mention وَكَانَ أَكْثَرْ مَالْ أُوتِيَ بِهِ Rasul al-Islam, that this amount of wealth was up to this time the most of wealth that they have received, or by the Prophet Islam have received. Then I mentioned the shahid, فَخَرَجَ Rasul al-Islam ila salah. So the Prophet Islam, then he went out and made the salat. وَلَمْ يَلْتَفِتْ إِلَيْهِ, and he didn't per se give much attention to those things that were sent to him. So the ulama mentioned regarding concerning this, that it showed the Prophet Islam regarding that this wealth that was sent to him, that it was left inside the masjid. So storing things inside the masjid, so storing things of wealth that inside of the masjid is something which is allowed, it is permissible to do so. And also for the distribution of that wealth can also take place inside the masjid. So distribution of that wealth from the masjid also something which is allowed. So the Prophet ﷺ, that when this wealth it arrived and he instructed for it to be left inside of the masjid, Then the Prophet ﷺ, then himself also, he went and prayed. He went and he made the salat, and also did not give much attention to this wealth. So they mentioned, it showed that the Prophet ﷺ, that it shows his humility, and also a person who is not inclined towards worldly affairs. So rather than himself, so he had the Prophet ﷺ kind of somewhat, he left in the masjid. Then I mentioned, فَلَمَّا قَضَى الصَّلَاةِ جَاءَ فَجَلَسَ إِلَيْهِ فَمَا كَانَ يَرَى أَحَدْ إِلَّا أَعْطَاهُ. So they mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ, so he prayed. Then after he prayed, then he sat and started the process of distributing of this wealth. So anyone that came inside the masjid, or that they saw that they would offer something of this dates, of this item inside of the masjid. So he showed the Prophet ﷺ regarding his generosity, that himself, as today, that's not, didn't take first, but rather that his intention is to distribute for those who were present. So he gave anyone that came by showing concerning his level of generosity. So without so anyone that came by, he would just offer them something of this wealth. Then I mentioned إِذَا جَاءَهُ Abbas. So also of his relative Abbas, who came. So Abbas also, he came. Then he asked for the Prophet ﷺ to offer something of what was there. So the Prophet ﷺ allowed him to take. فَقَالَ رَسُولَ ﷺ خُذْ, that for you to take from what is there. So showed up the Prophet ﷺ that he treated everyone the same. So whether they are family or non-family members, that anyone who passed through the masjid, that the Prophet ﷺ would offer them of this item inside of the masjid. So they mentioned that Abbas, that he came and he asked, and the Prophet ﷺ, he gave. And the Prophet ﷺ, that if someone asked of him something, he would normally give it. So if someone asked of something, that the Prophet ﷺ did not like to refuse when someone asked of something. So when Abbas asked, then the Prophet ﷺ, that he mentioned khud, that for you to take of what was there. Then it mentioned that فَحَثَى فِي ثَوْبِهِ, so he started to gather thing in his tomb. Then I mentioned ثُمَّ ذَهَبَ يَقِلُّهُ وَلَمْ يَسْتَطِيعْ, that he tried to carry this item. So what he took in his thobe of the item that was in the masjid, that is Abbas, that he took what he took. Then I mentioned that he was unable to lift or to carry this item. Then I mentioned فَقَالْ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ مُرْ بَعْضُهُمْ يَرْفَعُهُ إِلَيَّ, can you ask some of those people who were present for them to help me to carry this thing, to lift this thing? So the Prophet ﷺ told him, so he wanted people to assist. So it shows regarding concern the permissibility of asking others to assist you in something. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned فَقَالْ لَا, but in this case he refused to ask requests of people to volunteer to assist, which is his relative Abbas, of carrying some of the things that he took. So it showed that the ulama mentioned that and then he asked a few times, and the Prophet ﷺ refused for anyone to request anyone to assist him. So it shows regarding that of this concern in the masjid, that if seeking, so from this it shows regarding of seeking permission from those who are in charge regarding taking things in the masjid and also bringing things to the masjid and leave them. So they mentioned that the Prophet that he's the one instructed them to leave the stuff in the masjid, and also he's the one who, when Abbas asked him for the people to ask, can you ask of the people to assist me, the Prophet said no, showing that he went to, they say, proper channels, which is requesting from the Prophet ﷺ, who the person can say the one who's in charge of the masjid. Can you ask the people to assist me? The Prophet ﷺ said him, no, not to do so, not to make that request, or make that request for the people to assist him in taking things from the masjid. They mentioned that, of this, that especially regarding of gifts or things that are being given away, that a person to take that which is satisfactory or reasonable, that which is reasonable. And in this case, he wanted to take excessive amount, but to take this amount, he needed help from others. And the Prophet ﷺ tell him, no. So take what you can and leave the rest for others. So take what you're able to can take, not kind of somewhat, as we say today, try to overdo things, and take more than you can carry. So take what is within your ability, which is reasonable for you to take, and leave the rest for others. So it shows regarding, especially regarding things that are meant for to be shared amongst the public or to be distributed amongst the public. Take what you're able, but also to take into consideration others. Take into consideration others. So take what you can and what is reasonable and leave the rest for others. Not try to take more than what you can carry. So the Prophet ﷺ in that case told him no, that not to ask the people to assist. So it showed that at times that things to be regulated. So at times in distributing of things, to have some form of regulation in place where each person just can somewhat take that which is reasonable enough for them, but also so other people can benefit. So other people can benefit. Also they mentioned that of some of the shura that I mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ said no, not to take more than what you can carry. So as regard concerned, not to be too much, not to overly indulge oneself in things of the dunya. So I said that of this, that for one, not to overly indulge oneself concerning things of the dunya and trying to amass too much of the dunya, especially beyond what is beyond your limits. So the person has somewhat tried to, with the dunya, can somewhat try to be moderate in their approach regarding the dunya, take what is required, but without per se go over the top regarding the dunya. So in this case, he wanted to take more than he could carry. So the Prophet ﷺ refused for the people to assist. So we mentioned that in general that he requested this, showing that getting people assisting each other, that is something which is generally something which is allowed. So getting assistance from other is something which is generally allowed, but in this case the Prophet ﷺ that he forbid the people to assist in this matter. Then he mentioned regarding concern ثم ذهب يقله فقال يا رسول الله مر. Then he mentioned the same thing, repeat again. Then he mentioned, then he said, so that's concerning the hadith. That's concerning of the main matters regarding concerning the hadith that is mentioned here. So overall, from that it shows regarding that it shows the Prophet ﷺ concerning him as a person, that he wasn't an individual who was too overly concerned about the dunya. So when this item came, this world came, he kind of somewhat mentioned that lam yaltafit ilay. He kind of somewhat asked them to leave it in the masjid, and also himself didn't per se busy himself with this thing, nor take off this thing. Asked for it to be left in the masjid. Then after he prayed, then he start the distribution of the item. Anyone who came, he would give to them. So it shows regarding his level of kindness and also his level of abstinence from the dunya. His level of abstinence from the dunya. So it shows regarding that matter, regarding concerning that this world, it came from overseas to the Prophet ﷺ, and that at times people are in authority. Those who are in authority, regarding concern of the test of the people of the authority is regarding concerning, yes, that regarding that wealth, that they have to be mindful of this, that wealth is meant for the public, not to understand that it is used for that purpose. So regarding concerning people who are in authority, and that's that concerning people who run the masajid, the Islamic institution, people of authority, for them also to be mindful regarding not overly indulging in things that are meant for the general public. And also be caught into those matters. So not for them to overly indulge themselves in these matters regarding things that are meant for the people, not to see it as is their personal property for them. And they indulge more in this. And it shows that those people of authority have to be very disciplined. So people are in authority. In this case, regarding concerning, in our case concerning people in authority, by way of the masajid, the tulab al-ilm, that to be disciplined regarding knowing their boundaries, and not to overly indulge in things that people can attack your character. So one of those things regarding concerning wealth, that be very mindful and transparent regarding these matters. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, leave it in the masjid. So in that time we said, in our time, being transparent. So leaving things in the public arena. So in the masjid, everyone can see what it is. And then people can see when the distribution is taking place, that people can see that is being given to the people. So being, I would say, transparent. As we said, that it shows that distribution of items for the community can be stored in the masjid, in a suitable place, but also can be distributed from the masjid. So it showed that the masjid then, you could say that slash was a masjid, yes, but also it served as it performed, what we say today, certain community activities or community service. So the masjid that sometimes it will be used for certain type of community activities, and of this, the distribution of wealth and also collecting of wealth. Now, so that of the things regards to the people of but these things to be done with, also with the masjid also permission, also the masjid permission and the likes. Also said back to the matter regarding that. So again, concerned Prophet Islam, the one who was considered to be the Imam of the masjid. So everything can somewhat go back to him regarding as to what to be done. Then, as we said, that for people of authority, of those caution, of those things, that will be a test, especially concerning those who are the Imam of the masajid in the West, and those who run the masajid and Islamic centers, of those tests that will come regarding wealth. Of those tests, those fitna, would be not just for them, for the broader, for those in authority in general, of those tests of the dunya that can bring the person, as they say, the person's bring that person down, and their reputation is regarding matters misuse of wealth. So misuse of wealth, and also be misuse of wealth, and also other things. So find that in today's time, even recent case, that a person called even today, that he more so concerned the fitna can be on the people of authority regarding A'immat al-Masajid, and also in this case, that what we have today in a practice now, which is in the Muslim land and also outside Muslim land in the West, we'll find that matrimonial type of service, which is a community service. So this type of matrimonial type of services that may be needed, but being supervised properly. That's the thing. But the case of the shahid, that this matrimonial service is done by this person who was attached to a masjid, but he was the one getting married more often than anyone else. Understand the idea? You understand? So that becomes a fitna. Which is that, you have cases of those where people who may run these type of service, or a person might run a charity, so this type of community service. But you find the people who are the ones who are in charge, supervising these things, that with the charity, that they always seems to have more than everyone else, or receive more than everyone else from that which is gathered or donated. With me? So a person said to be careful regarding those things, and also the matrimonials. So you find that the Imam of the masjid is always the one who's marrying too often. Because they have, the people now, they have access to these things. So in this case, that sister wanted to get married, went to the matrimonial. She had someone in mind who came forward. So she had someone who's already interested. But when it reached the person who's in charge of the matrimonial, he said, you and the person, different, whatever reason, but I may be a more suitable person, a candidate. You understand? So he became the more suitable, and the person who was interested, not as suitable. Then eventually, he got married to his sister. Then in this case, a month after, they were not married. You understand? Then that said, that's a fitna. I said the reality of them said, with those cases though, that may not be just an isolated case. The shahid, that those in a scenario may not be an isolated case regarding matrimonial and also these charities. That the people who can somewhat benefit more are the people who are in charge. So that becomes a fitna. So I said the Prophet of Islam, lam yaltafit ilay. He didn't give attention to those things. So the people who are in authority not give too much attention to things of the dunya, by way of the woman, by way of the riches, and whatever else, not to give too much attention to these things that in the long run might destroy your reputation. That's the shahid.
So what would be the procedure for people to get married? Because what
avenues?
What other channels would there be for instance, a sister wants to get married, she's not attached to no other community but the masjid?
Aye. Now, in a sense that one comes to understand, yes, there should be system in place that the masajid or organization is it being governed correctly. That's the point. You understand? Yes, there should be things there, but I said it being governed properly, where the person who's the one who's in charge, they're not the one who's benefiting the most.
So someone that's like oversee that.
Yes, the overseer said that. The brother said in that case, he said that the brother is the person in charge of the matrimonial, but he's the one, because all the cases will come to him. You understand? So he will be the one to know who are the brothers and who are the sisters and all the information. He's the one who collects all that information. So he doesn't want him to be picking from
The top.
You understand? Picking and take when he wants. You with me? So that's the thing. So yes, so the people who are in charge of those things is ideally and should not be a one-man job.
Or part of doing it, maybe they make clauses there where they can't actually
Now that
take from it.
you know,
It should be like a freeway.
it should make sense so you need to have, yes, if it is there and who wish to provide that service. And when I say to provide a service is wrong, is doing it properly. You understand? So in those that are concerning that matrimonial, ideally best not to have just one person in charge. So you have a panel, 3 up to 5, whatever the situation is, but it shouldn't be a one-man show. Now, comes to the cases
That's difficult though, because when it comes to having a masjid,
now,
people always come and they ask for the imam. I want the imam.
yeah, I understand that.
So in that service, they're only thinking about the imam. They're not going to be thinking that it's a group of individuals that they're dealing with.
Now,
Unless it's known in that charity, in the section on the website, you have it on the charity and you have their names. These are the individuals you ask for. It's not just imam.
Now, regarding concerning having a structure, which is done by the masjid or an organization. You understand that whatever system, who's providing that service, that it is not, for example, even the masjid, where the imam is a part, he shouldn't be the only one, the only person involved. It should be a panel. You understand? Because the imam is also human. You understand? So to protect everyone, those who are looking to get married, and also the people are responsible, because you have shaitan that come between people. You understand? Then it should be an imam. So yes, the people in most cases said, who is the imam? But he would direct the people to that, we call it, to the people in charge of that service, whether he's a part of it or not.
Okay.
You understand? So you might find that if he's a part, then just still say that we have that service, that we offer that service, that's the protocol or the procedures to follow. So you just like anyone's in the masjid that know of the service, that's the protocol, that's the procedure, and they'll just take it from there. But you understand? So it is generally regulated by a group, not just one person, whether in the masjid or outside the masjid. You understand? And just like with charities, so the same thing with charities. It should be charity ordinarily best, I think, that it have a panel, the least of 3. Now, a list of 3 regarding these type of charity, to make sure things are transparent, and also that people don't lose the objective and overly benefit from things unfairly. So that's concerned that matter regarding, and also especially those matters regarding of those type of service. You understand? Ideally concerned that now you need people who are is recruiting proper people where people are known to be very mature, responsible, and also may have some experience in life, more older in age, not the shabab. You understand? A person not shabab, not young. You understand? A person who's like well matured. So even those cases, so they're getting people who are more matured to be involved. So just like, for example, the masjid might have zakat. People might pay the zakat al-mal on a yearly basis. That, yes, they might come and say, where's the imam? But the zakat mal is not per se on the imam only. You understand? So it would be the masjid have a committee that there will be, you understand, that they would oversee. So if anyone comes to the masjid to the imam, yes, we have that service we provide, you can pay your zakat al-mal. But this is the, you understand, whatever is collected go to that panel, or the distribution concerning collection go to the panel, and also distribution, it will go to a panel to look at the cases, not just a one person. You understand? Because so it would be like at least 3 or whatever amount of people. Best to have an odd number to kind of someone to look to see, especially concerning the cases. Collecting zakatul mal and things is not a problem, is distribution. Right? That you have a panel of 3, the least, that anyone who wish that type of service, then they'll they'll be directed to the process to be followed and take it from there.
Well, someone will say in this instance, is the Prophet ﷺ that was that gave his family the Sahaba the things he took the date. So they will say that means because the Prophet is the Imam also, so that position need to be for the Imam, not just anyone else.
No, not necessarily. Now, Sam says, and I said that concern said, yes, the Prophet said if the Imam can be a Prophet, the Prophet Islam concerns certain roles compared to other people is not the same regarding his integrity. Now, I'm concerned of Prophet Islam integrity, then unquestioned. But for everyone else, we're not in the same shoes, as they say. We're not in the same situation. So, I said in maintaining integrity, but also said with experience in life regarding, said if it just, for example, someone brings sometimes people might bring things to the masjid and just leave it there. It doesn't need, the Imam can be the one or someone responsible to make sure they're distributed. But those things may vary. You understand? So I said things regarding that marriage, certain things, some things need a proper system in place. Of those regarding marriage. This hadith is not about marriage, about distribution of things, but it may vary depending on what is being distributed. Now, both said there are things that, based upon, we said what have come to our attention, or come that sometimes what is the Chinese whispers, kind of somewhat to keep those things, you understand, out within control. We find that with marriage, whether by way of the Imam or by way of the committee, the ones who run the masjid, they're not the one getting all the marriages, because they have all the information. You understand? So those things doesn't have to be led necessarily by the Imam or by the committee. You just have outstanding people in the community, responsible people in the community that may lead on this. That's the main thing. And ideal for the people to go back to the masajid, because they have more of a better, should have a better reputation. Now it's a masjid, but also the masjid have a robust system regarding those things to check, to keep up, and to deal with those matters. So in the West, yes, but the masjid have a clear system in place. A clear system in place. So those are the main points concerning that of the main points regarding the hadith. It showed the Prophet the Prophet regarding that is level of abstaining from things of the dunya, and that becomes the example for those people of authority not to be overly indulged in things of the dunya, and also that the masjid, of the use of the masjid, that things can be collected and distributed, that is for the betterment of the community, and also collecting and distribution point in a masjid, those things can be done. But also said in a masjid, it will be in a restricted area. So that will be put in where it doesn't interfere with the general function of the masjid, So this also shows the masjid at times may have other duties other than just salah. So the masjid also having other duties other than just salah, and so it could have also said community type of services being done through the masjid. Aywa. And also show the Prophet that himself also was an hands-on person. You understand? Also used to be involved in things. So the distribution, he was the one sitting there and distributing. So the Imam and the people in charge of the masjid, is not just governance, it's not just giving orders from a distance. So governance is not always giving order from a distance, but also that type of governance that the person have to be, that the person also, that they're actually involved. The person actually involved in governing, but also showing that you are part of what's going on. So governance at times requires those people are in charge for them to be actually hands-on in their duties. Aywa.
قال المؤلف رحمه الله, chapter 32, talking about taking the mosques in the houses. No.
مساجد في البيوت.
No, في البيوت.
Hey, so before the hadith, so masajid fil bayut, and you concerned to know that a person may have a designated area inside their house that they use like as a masjid. So they call them al-musalla or masajid al-buyut, where the person might have a designated area that that area is used mainly for salah. So they mention the benefit of this so the benefit of that you have a set area in the house that is used as a place for the prayer area. So it is taken care of. The person regarding his nawafil salawat, the wife, she can sit there designated to pray. So that area will be designated in the house as the area to be prayed. Now, so also with this is mentioned, Allah mentioned a benefit that, for example, the children can see the father praying there, the mother praying there, type of thing. So kind of someone set also that example, that area also to be kept clean and tidy and to be used in a particular manner. So you have a set area, designated area that is used mainly for salat. Aywa.
قال المؤلف رحمه الله, chapter hadith number 270, narrated by Mahmud ibn Rabi', Itba ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, Itban ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, who was one of the companions of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and one of the Ansar who took part in the Battle of Badr, said, I came to the Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and said, I have weak eyesight and I lead my people in salah. When it rains, the water flows in the valley between me and my people, so I cannot go to the mosque to lead them in salah. O Messenger of Allah, I wish you would come to my house and offer the salah in it, so that I could take that place as a musalla, appointed place of salah. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if Allah wills, I will do so. Itban said, the next day after the sun rose high, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Abu Bakr came, and Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked permission to enter. I gave him permission, and he did not sit on entering the house, but said to me, where do you like me to offer a salah? He pointed to a place. I pointed to a place in my house. So Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam stood there and said, Allahu Akbar. And we all got up and aligned behind him and offered a 2 raka'ah salah and ended it with taslim. We requested him to stay for a meal called khazira, which we had prepared for him. Many members of the family gathered in the house, and one of them said, where is Malik ibn ad-Dukhayshin? صح?
Dukhshin
or Dukhshin. Ibn Dukhshin or Dukhshin.
I have no here. Dukhshin.
Dukhshin or Dukhshin. One of them replied, he is a hypocrite and does not love Allah and His Messenger. Hearing that, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, do not say so. Haven't you seen that he said, La ilaha illallah, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, for Allah's sake only? He said, Allah and His Messenger know better. We have seen him helping and advising the hypocrites. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Allah has forbidden the hellfire for those who say La ilaha illallah, for Allah's sake only.
This hadith that they mention here regarding concerning this hadith of Itban ibn Malik anhu, where he mentioned regarding concerning that is of those who participated in the battle of Badr from amongst the Ansar. Then he kind of somewhat he mentioned the Prophet Islam, Ya Rasulullah, that he mentioned regarding concerning Ankar to Basri, that is having like weak, poor high sight. So they mentioned Ana usalli biqawmi, but also he was the person who used to lead his people in salah. So he was the imam of his people. but he had weak eyesight. So it should regard the person that is not a criteria for a person to be the Imam, that he has to have proper eyesight. So the person, if he's blind, he can still be the Imam, or a person of weak eyesight, he can still be the Imam. So they mentioned that he was of the Imam of his people. Then they mentioned فإذا كانت الأمثار سالت الوادي الذي بيني وبينهم لم يستطيع أن آتي المسجدهم. That they mentioned that of his situation that he wanted to explain to the Prophet ﷺ, that so can I somewhat explain his scenario. I lead the people in salat in the masjid, but also at times when it is and it rains and it floods, that I'm unable to go to the masjid and lead the people in salah. So they mentioned that. So they asked, and then he's asking, the Prophet ﷺ come to his place. They messaged him and also leave him, that can the Prophet ﷺ come to his place and pray with them, so he can make this place a designated area in his house that he can pray. They discussed regarding concerning that in this case regarding that the case of the Ama who came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked concerning that, to know that he's Ama, that he wanted to know that should he come, should he that he had no one to guide him to the masjid. So this person came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, no, I'm blind, but at times I have no one to guide me to the masjid. Now, should I come to the masjid or not? The Prophet said, Atasma al-adhan, do you hear the adhan? Faqal, naam, faqal, ajib. Then you should respond. So that person was what? Blind, but didn't have a guide. Then this person also, this other case of this Uthman, mentioned that also he had poor eyesight, but he was unable, so he's asking the Prophet ﷺ to give him, allow a place that he could pray in his masjid. So they mentioned a difference between both. So the difference that what he's asking regarding concern that because of his sight, and also not even more so, but because of the rain when it floods. So when it floods, you have more of excuse that you don't have to go to the masjid. For the person, so the person who's blind may not have an excuse that still go to the masjid, right? So the person who's blind, he still go to the masjid and pray. As for if there's flood or heavy rain, where then the person, everyone, or all are allowed, or those who wish that they can pray at home. They don't have to come to the masjid for the compulsory salat. With me? So in this case, he's asking for this. So that was his scenario. So his scenario, his excuse wasn't his eyesight for seeking an excuse to have this masjid in his house, but his situation that to come out for the salat is difficult because of the rain and the flood. So you have, in that case, it shows that not in cases of rain or flooding or heavy rain, that one is excused to pray at home. One is excused to pray at home. So that's concerning that case that I mentioned regarding concerning that. And also what he was asking for, I mentioned that, is regarding concern that if his compulsory salat was due to the floods, and also he wanted a place that he could pray at home regarding his nafila salah. So for the man that ordinarily is expected that for them to go to the masjid and pray there, compulsory salat. But as for their nafila salat, it's better for them to pray at home. So, but he wanted a place, a designated area in his house that he could pray his nafila, or when he's unable to attend the compulsory salat, he pray in that place in his own. So it shows also, as mentioned, that for a person having a designated area in his own house to pray, having a set area or a particular area in his house that is designated for salat, and that according to each person's ability and situation. For those who can, then they can establish this inside their homes. Then I mentioned intakhdahu musalla. So I mentioned that to make this place a musalla. So you have the ulama discussed regarding concerning the difference between what is said to be a masjid and what is said to be a musalla. So the masjid that they mention of some the masjid, most or all the compulsory salat is performed there. So the masjid, that place that so the masjid will be a building that is designated for salat, and those things that the masjid that is allowed to be done inside the masjid. Of those things would be the compulsory salah. Of those things would be in the masjid, inside of the masjid, as-salatul Jummah. So the masjid can have somewhat of those salat, that is, those things are established inside the masjid. Salat like Salatul Eid is preferred to be done outside of the masjid. Also, even to the extent of Salat al-Janaza, also to be done away from the masjid, also that's allowed. So for Salat al-Janaza to be done outside of the masjid, that's also something which is allowed. So the compulsory salat, salat al-Jum'ah, these are those salat that are the main ones that to be done inside of the masjid. Then he mentioned that the Prophet said to the person, Sa'af'al inshallah. So the Prophet said, when a person asks you to come to my house and pray there, so I can make this place into a place, use this place as an area to pray, it shows regarding concern to know that showing that type of respect and position of people of the Prophet Islam, first and foremost regarding people of ilm and people of taqwa. So people are known for their piety, that having respect for them, and asking them kind of somewhat so, and extending one invitation to them, then something which is, they mention something which is praiseworthy and encouraged. So he invited the Prophet ﷺ to come to his house and to pray in a particular area, or to mark the spot for him to use as the musalla inside of his masjid, inside of his house. So the Prophet ﷺ called, Sa'af'al inshallah. So it shows regarding concern that, something that one wish to do in the future, to say the word inshallah. So they show the permissibility as well. Sa'af'al meaning seen regarding concerning something that I wish to do in the future, but they mention inshallah. So yes, I hope to do so in the future. In the future, as you request, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. Then they mention فقالوا إتبان فغدا عليها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأبو بكر حين ارتفع النهار. Then they mention early next day, the Prophet Islam was there with Abu Bakr. So the Prophet Islam was a person going to somewhat get things done in the quickest time possible. What they call it in one word? Efficient. More than efficient. So the Prophet ﷺ now what he had said that either the person asked him yesterday, like for example, asked him yesterday, and the next day he was there to do what he said you have done. But the main thing that the Prophet ﷺ, that he was quick in carrying things out, carrying through on things. So the person asked, can you come to my house? The Prophet said, inshallah, I'll come. The next day he was there. So now a person who said today was like to procrastinate, like to deny, leave things off. But inshallah means getting things done as soon as possible. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was there the next day to get that task done and over with. So it showed the Muslim that I think that getting things done as quick as possible, then to have that type of mindset. To have that type of mindset. So not the unnecessary delays of things, then try to avoid that approach in life. Then I mentioned the Prophet ﷺ that he came, فَاسْتَهْدَنْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ فَأَذِنَتْ لَهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to the person out, that he sought permission. So it showed that regardless of your status and your role and your position, that if you go to another person's house, then you should seek permission before you enter. So because you may be the Imam, you may be this person, that person, that doesn't mean that you have a right just to barge into people's house. So the person, the Prophet ﷺ himself, he asked permission. Then it was given for him to enter. فَلَمْ يَجْلِسْ حِينَ دَخْلَ الْبَيْتِ ثُمَّ قَالَ أَيْنَ تُحِبْ أَنْ أُصَلِّي مِنْ بَيْتِكَ. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't come and immediately sat. They kind of somewhat, the task that he came to fulfill was to carry out salat and mark that spot for the person to pray. So I want to get to said, he wants to complete the task as soon as possible. So that was the priority. So kind of somewhat known to prioritize things and task. So the Prophet ﷺ, the purpose of coming to the house was to pray, and that for the person kind of somewhat use that area as a place to establish your salat in the home. So the Prophet ﷺ wanted to get to the task as soon as possible and get it over with. So not to come to sit, relax, talk, spend all night chit-chatting, and then you forget the reason why you came there. So I think that the person somewhat, if we have tasks to be done, try to focus on getting that task done and prioritizing that task, so we can get it over it for, as quick as possible. And anything else, it comes after. So not everything else comes before, and the actual designated task is done last, or it is forgotten. So the Prophet ﷺ, somewhat, as I said, was want to get that task over with. So the person mentioned, فَأَشَرْتُ لَهُ إِلَى نَاهِيَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ. So the person says, I point him to a place in the house. فَقَامَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ فَكَبَّرَ فَقُمْنَا فَصِفْنَا فَصَلَّى رَكَعَتَيْنِ ثُمَّ سَلَّمَ. Then the Prophet ﷺ that he was pointed out a place to pray. The Prophet ﷺ, he stand, kabbar, and we mentioned that one of the mashaykh that mentioned regarding a takbir, that he mentioned that is to be done as we said. With me, ikhwan. So a takbir, as we said, Allahu Akbar. So Allahu Akbar before you put your hands down. So the ra is sounded last. Then after you said Allahu Akbar full complete, then you put your hands on your chest. So sometimes we say Allahu Akbar or Allahu Akbar and everything, you understand, done at the same time. So when a shaykh called Qaimi, one of the mashaykh of the Hanabila, then that's his view regarding in demonstrating how it to be done. Then I mentioned the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed rak'atayn. So he prayed rak'atayn in the person's house. Then the hadith continue where they mention our next shayth from the hadith that they also prayed him. So there's no of a nawafil at times can be prayed jama'ah. And nawafil at times can be prayed jama'ah. So the Prophet ﷺ and those with him are those they also lined up and they prayed along with the Prophet ﷺ that as-salah. And that salat was a nafila. That salat was a nafila. Then the mention of the hadith concerning then there's other people, then the person, then those of the house, then they invited the Prophet ﷺ for dinner. They invited the Prophet ﷺ for a meal. It shows concern those people regarding their level of generosity and also their kindness of the Prophet ﷺ came to do a task, but also they wanted to honor him, the Prophet ﷺ, by offering a meal. So they then in that case they mentioned فَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ that a particular individual was mentioned. That I mentioned a person فَأَيْنَ مَالِكْ ibn Dukhaysh. Malik ibn Dukhaysh. Or I mentioned Ibn Dukshun. So difference regarding the person name, but of what was said when someone asked, where is this person? They mention an individual. Where is this individual? فَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ ذَلِكَ الْمُنَافِقِ لَا يُحِبُّ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Those are severe words. For a person to another person that's about a Muslim, that is a munafiq. So the person said when a person's name was mentioned, فَقَالَ بَعْضٍ قَالَ ذَاك مُنَافِقِ, that a person is a munafiq, an hypocrite. Why he mentioned La yuhibbullah wa rasuluh, that he does not love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger alayhi salam. So those claims are serious claim. That a person does not love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the person is a munafiq. So then the Prophet when he heard Rasul alayhi salam, when he heard this, La takul dhalik, not to say this. So the Prophet kind of somewhat admonished the person for what he had said regarding labeling another Muslim as munafiq. So it shows us some of those words, certain words that we have to be very careful of certain words that we utter. Of those labeling Muslim, certain type of labels, that is a munafiq. Also that is something which is serious accusation against a Muslim. Labeling a Muslim kafir is a serious accusation against another Muslim. And also they say today al-bidah. So also even concerning labeling another person regarding a Muslim that is upon bidah and the likes, these are strong Islamic terms, valid terms, but to be used correctly. And not just something that we throw around and throw at other people without justifiable reasons, with evidence. So the person mentioned that called ذاك munafiq. This person is munafiq. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard that word, لا تقول ذلك, not to say this. So telling that Muslim, admonishing that Muslim, not to say so. That the Prophet ﷺ shows also inkar. The Prophet ﷺ making inkar, is inkar in English?
Not to criticize.
Admonishing that person for what he said. So it showed that sometimes we may be, so the person was in a group because they wanted to have dinner. And they asked about one person. Some person mentioned a person name. So sometimes we're in groups that and certain things that are said that we know not to be, you understand, that we have to owe those people to account. Certain things that you understand, that certain things that may be said, especially concerning that attacking people's honor, their credibility, you understand, wild accusations that are being passed and someone saying those things in a group, then we have to hold those people accountable. Or passing judgment on Muslim, you understand, those people have to be held accountable so that they can justify their accusation. So the Prophet didn't accept it from the person and admonished the person, لا تقول ذلك, not to say this. So for the Muslims, kind of somewhat to weigh up these words regarding munafiq, kafir, that Muslim being mubtada' and the likes, we have to, you understand, be very mindful of those terms. فقال لا ألا تراه فقد قال لا إله الله يريد بذلك وجه الله. The Prophet can someone then give the person excuse on what he know, what is apparent. So the ulama, so he mentioned that, from what we know of this person, what is apparent, what we know of him, that he mentioned فقال ألا تراه قد قال لا إله الله, that don't you hear and see that person have said la ilaha illallah. So the person saying this make him a Muslim. So to remove that Islam from him, then you have to come with something which is clear. As the ulama mentioned regarding concerning that of this of a qaida regarding that they mentioned regarding that, you have these qawaid al-fiqhiyya al-kubra, which are 5. You have these qawaid al-fiqhiyya al-kubra, 5 fundamental general rules that ulama mention. Of this, al-yaqeen la yazul bil-shak, that you do not, something which is clear, established, it is not replaced by something which is doubtful or just mere accusations. So a Muslim, or the person, Islam has been established by the person, the thing has been established, he says la ilaha illallah, and the Prophet mentioned yurid bidhalik wajh Allah, and hope that a person he intend by this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala face so that he said this genuinely from what is apparent. So you can't just throw this accusation of a person being a munafiq. فقال Allah Rasul alam. فقال, then the person says Allah and the Rasul know best. Then the person can someone try to know. So it should the Prophet ﷺ giving that person excuse, the one who's being accused of nifaq. So try to give the person the benefit of the doubt and remove that accusation from that person regarding he did say la ilaha illallah. He did say la ilaha illallah. So that today you find that in the majalis of times when we sit, that some of the conversation go into, a lot of conversation go into, is this person this or that? Is he Sunni? Is he Khalafi? Is he Hizbi? Is he this? Is he Takfiri? A lot of conversation we sit is about those things. And even today you find that people even asking some of the Talabatul Ilm or so-called Talabatul Ilm, and that's the main core of their dawah, passing judgment on others. So in their majalis, in their lessons, the main topic, this person is not this person is Hizbi, this person is this person is that, is Mumayya, this person is this. So being mindful of these labels that we give to each other. So, and also the person is there and see things that wrong being said, they have obligation to correct it. You have obligation to correct this. Then I mentioned the person said, Allah wa Rasul alam, قال فإننا نرى وجهه ونسيته إلى منافق. That person can somewhat more with the people are said to be the munafiq. So can somewhat they're judging him based upon his associates. So I said the Prophet still began to say that the fact the person said la ilaha illallah, then just be mindful of naming that person certain things, even though in your opinion you might see different. Even though you might see different. فقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم فإن الله قد حرم على النار من قال لا إله إلا الله يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. So the Prophet is going to remind them at the end of it, regarding concerning whatever you may see and take regarding that person. That I mentioned, فإن the Prophet is reminding concerning إن الله قد حرم النار, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made forbidden upon the nar man qala la ilaha. So show that the people, the ones who say la ilaha, that this saved them from the hellfire. So one who say la ilaha, then is made haram upon them the hellfire. That's so is because of saying la ilaha. But the Prophet mentioned yabtaghi bidhalik wajh Allah, but the person is sincere regarding this. So though so the Prophet can also put a criteria that the person who say La ilaha illallah but said so with sincerity and with genuineness, then that person, he'll be protected from the nar. Now, but that this does not exclude that or dismiss that there may be people who may say La ilaha illallah but they're not sincere. That there may be people who may say La ilaha illallah but they're not sincere. But they say it for things of, for whatever reason may be. Now, so the one that saying La ilaha illallah would truly benefit them is the person who say this, that I mentioned, يَبْتَغِي بِذَلِكَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ, the one who does this for the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as concerned the Muslim saying La ilaha illallah, it should be with sincerity. It should be with sincerity. So that's of the so the Prophet ﷺ still kind of somewhat mentioned this, that at the end, the one who say La ilaha illallah, even if he had that, he still can enter Jannah and be protected from an-nar. So overall, regarding the fawaid of this hadith, he mentioned that from the hadith it shows concerning that the importance and the status of Tawheed. It showed regarding the virtue and the status of the person who say La ilaha illallah. That of the things of saying La ilaha illallah with sincerity, that person is protected from an-nar. So it showed the virtue. So I mentioned concerning the virtue of La ilaha illallah, that it's a protection from an-nar. It's protection from an-nar. So regarding concerning a person who says La ilaha illallah and is a Muslim, then such a person would never remain in the hellfire forever. They may enter an-nar, but they will not remain there forever. That's for the believers. So the believer may have some shortcomings, but the fact that he's still a believer and he was to die on those shortcomings, then if he's punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's on the mashiyatillah, and the mashiyatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he's punished, but it will be for a while, but not a everlasting punishment, then eventually he'll be taken from an-nar and be placed in a Jannah. And that's the aqid of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Aywa?
You basically answered the question. Say they testify La ilaha illallah, but their actions doesn't equivocate the testament of faith.
So that you have the believer who says La ilaha illallah and is genuine and is involved, he still prays, still fast, but might have shortcomings. But he's still upon the core of Islam, Islamic practice, but still have shortcomings. So that person, example, a person, Muslim, he prays, fasts, Islam is apparent on him to a degree, but he has his own shortcomings. He has riba. Then that person is still a believer.
What if they don't pray?
So the first scenario, that he prays, fasts and the likes, but have shortcomings, then that person is still a believer. So said those who understand that if there are shortcomings, if he was to die upon them without tawbah, without repentance, then what is said to be tahta mashiyatillah, is under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. If he wishes, he forgives him immediately and put him in Jannah. Or if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes that he place him, that he punish him according to his sin, then eventually be removed and placed in Al-Jannah. So said that any Muslim who said to be upon Islam, they have another case now regarding, as you mean, the case that you cited, that a person that he say La ilaha illallah, you have a next case, the person who say La ilaha illallah, accept Islam or born in a Muslim family. When he was growing up, sent him to madrasa, then at the age of certain age, they stopped. There's no salat, there's no siyam, there's nothing of Islam. They walked out of Islam. If you see them, nothing of Islam. Then, so said no salat, no siyam, nothing of Islam. Then that person, not a Muslim. So if the name may be Muhammad, wa Zainab, wa Ali, and their mother and father is Muhammad and Zainab, and that person, even though he was born in a Muslim family, went to the masjid for years as a young boy or young girl, but in certain time in their life, they went away from Islam. They left Islam by way of they are not practicing anything of the apparent things of Islam, of that salah, siyam, and the likes. Then that person, in actual fact, not a Muslim. Not a Muslim.
What about, I know a family that a man married a nation of Islam system. The children grow up thinking, I don't know, are they Muslim? The children, are they Muslim?
So they married to,
Nation.
the man married a woman
Yeah.
from nation of Islam. Now, so the Kislam said that marriage, you understand, that consider what is referred to as a nation and what they represent is not Islam. You understand? So what they represent, that organization, that body, what they represent regarding their teachings, you understand, is not Islam. Even though they may refer to themselves as nation of Islam. But in reality, there's no Islam with it. You understand? So in reality, they don't represent Islam. So that marriage from the start, this need to be reviewed.
Yeah. There's a lot of sisters that cover up like Muslims that are from the nation.
Yeah, so the woman, they wear some type of...
Even now, they still get married to brothers. No.
Sometimes that becomes that those people, and you say, those people of what I've referred to, what is the organization called Nation of Islam. So they might have certain that because of their belief in Father Muhammad being whatever he was, and whoever else, they understand that of it is clear kufr. And claiming that what's his name is the Prophet of Allah, Yadu Billah, you understand? So the core of their teachings is kufr. Even concerned, so the person who to marry from them is marrying a kafir or kafira. So marrying one of them is like you're marrying a kafira. You understand? So they're not Ahli Kitab, Jew or Christian, they're mushrik or kafir. So that marriage from the onset is, you understand, is not valid. Shouldn't be done. Should not be done. Unless the woman cannot take Islam properly. You understand that, take the shahada. But if they say they're still upon that way, they understand that marriage from the get-go, you understand, shouldn't be done, should not have been done.
So, Omar, so my question is about the hadith. When it mentions in the hadith about when Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ came to the man's house,
What?
they came when the sun rose. The sun had already rose, as it mentions in the hadith. So, and then they prayed 2 rak'ah. What salah is this?
Nafila. Comes in discipline, you understand? So it could be said, this is a class of nafila, as for what it is, salatul duha, or those things is unclear.
Okay.
You understand? It's unclear. But see, it is a general like nafila, as to what class it as salatul duha, or that's the next.
So,
you
so
understand?
this hadith isn't indicating the praying any sort of salah
Not
wajiba in the house.
It's
just no.
This is a nafila. Said wajib salat can be done in the house. Comes in this case because of his situation. We said that in case of rain, now when a person unable to get access to the masjid, then they can pray in home, even compulsory. Said, but overall praying the compulsory salah inside a home, it is still jaiz. It is allowed. In the sense that it's still valid. Better word, it's still valid. But ideal is for the person to pray to the masjid. You understand? If the masjid is accessible, then then that's better.
So just understanding the hadith.
But this salat the hadith is a nafila, that compulsory salat. Is a nafila salat that they did. And it kind of somewhat made that time, they said, in trying to be expedient, in kind of somewhat fulfill that act in the quickest time possible. And also he mentioned that he brought a companion with him. So when he brought, the person invited the Prophet ﷺ, but the Prophet he came with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So you have to ask permission also for him. You understand? So if you go, someone invites you and you bring someone else, you have to get permission for that guest, your guest, to enter. Or let's inform the person. Inform the person, I come with someone with me, is it okay for them to enter?
So the Prophet ﷺ praying in the house, does he make the place a masjid for the people to, because he was saying, I think the man was saying, he used to pray with the people. I don't know if it's at his house or the other people's house. But because of rain, he wants to be able to pray in his house. Does that make the place a masjid after that?
Now, it's not a masjid. So referred to as masajid al-buyut or musalla. We mentioned musalla, that is for him is like own private area to pray inside his house. No. When he pray is nawafil, or if he's unable to go to the masjid. No. But the masjid that he was seeking this place inside his house, because at times when it have the rain that he's unable to go to the masjid. So the normal practice was for him to go to the masjid. But on occasions, regarding for the compulsory salat, he may not able to go to the masjid due to the rain. But as for his nafilah, then also you just establish it from that time, from then inside his house. But that's for him, not for the public. It's for him, not for the public. So him and those inside his house may use that area to pray, but as for the public, not to establish his own masjid. So it's not that the person in his house has established his own masjid now. And call people to that masjid in his house. Then that's not what is intended. It's just something for his own private use inside his house. In the way of the person might have a certain area in your house where that area is designated for salat. You might have your most Quran there. So at times you want to go and read Quran, you might go to that area and pray. Or you understand? So that's a designated area in your house that you use for as your little own private little masjid or musalla.
Indeed.
Mafhum? Aye?
To the point in the hadith where it says that basically the man was blind and then if he had a dam and he hasn't got a guide, he still has to go to the
It's a
masjid.
different hadith.
It's a different hadith.
Oh.
It is a different hadith. That's sort of comparison between both. The reason was just to bring the comparison between both.
Oh.
You understand? So that's to show that. Yes, that's a different a discussion regarding attending. That we discuss it maybe later on regarding is it compulsory to attend the masjid for salat or not? But that hadith to show that both individual, one was blind, and the other one, our one, Itban, that also he had poor eyesight, but he was seeking excuse or reason to not attend either Jama'ah and also to establish something in his house but his excuse was that of rain. Not that he didn't have someone as a guide. His excuse was that when it's rain, I'm unable to go out to the masjid, so I want to pray at home. So also the point they mentioned regarding that, it shows regarding that jawaz takhalluf, that it is permissible for one to not go out to the masjid in cases where there's an other, which will be like, for example, rain. So if you have heavy rain, where it becomes difficult, you understand? If you go in your clothes, then people walk back and forth. So walking, you get wet, get muddy, right, to go to the masjid. So in that case, you have an excuse, as just hadith about that, the case for the person to pray at home, or in today's time, other like bad climate or weather. So if you have bad weather, whether by way of rain
extreme
or maybe wind,
extreme heat,
or yes, and those type of things, snow, then so if extreme weather, the person may be an excuse not to go out to the masjid. So in this case, this of those excuse.
So do the people of hadith, would they say that when this hadith occurred, before that people didn't pray in their home? It wasn't known that the people who used to have designated areas, because clearly this Sahaba must have been asking something about a practice that never took place before, or he never knew of it.
And so maybe in this case, I'm saying that he was asking about something personal for him.
Okay.
And you understand? So maybe something that in his case he wanted to have somewhere in his house, but also he wanted to use the word that he wanted the Prophet of Islam to be the one kind of somewhat to help him in designating that area. Kind of somewhat that you want to do to a person of honor to also be the one to open that thing for him. Not that this hadith is to be used regarding open masajid. You have to have a big thing to open a masajid. That time we're not saying that. So in this person, in this case, you want someone like the Prophet kind of someone to use the word to kind of someone to bless that area, kind of someone to establish that thing for him in his masjid, inside his home. So maybe other people did it, but you just want his thing, the Prophet of Islam, to be the one to come and to assist him in that task.
Makes sense. So could we say that you could extract a fiqh principle that you should, before doing an action of ibadah, you should ask the person of knowledge before carrying it out?
In general, if in this case that I said in the Prophet of Islam generally encouraged that praying nawafil inside the house. So that was already in the mind of the people.
Oh, okay.
And the practice of the people regarding certain nawafil that is better to be prayed inside the house. So for them, the compulsory was the one that they would pray mainly inside the masjid. But they were also encouraged, and also nawafil, but also highly encouraged to pray nawafil inside the house. But he wanted to kind of somewhat, in his circumstance, the Prophet came to visit him, or was he at the masjid, or but he wanted the Prophet to be the one to kind of somewhat to come to his house and help him to find a place suitable to make as his musalla. And I want the Prophet to be a part of that with him. So like for example, a project that I level sheikh, the mufti of the country, you understand, you have contacts and can you come to my house, you understand, invite him to certain type of thing, then the person sees it as something which is you're being honored. You understand, to a person of standing to come to your plate, to come to your event, then that shows that you understand that should and that carries a lot of weight for many. None. Also, the hadith have said, no, the hadith shows regarding being very careful regarding throwing wild accusation or throwing accusation towards people. Regarding ahkam al-Islam, these ahkam regarding munafiq, which is hypocrite, kafir, you understand, be very loose in those words, you understand, accusing people of things, you understand. They said, no, scholars for dollars, those type of, you understand, type of language. You understand, to be very careful regarding throwing this accusation, whether of individual or generalizing these things, these type of terms. You understand? This person, because they disagree, they are mubtada, they are this, they are this. You have to be very careful. You understand? You have to be very careful, and not just to the Prophet, not just to blind follow people in this. Because he say, then you just accept it. But he didn't provide any evidence. So the person mentioned that. First thing that's going to somewhat throw the statement out, then the Prophet kind of somewhat challenge him on that matter, said, La taf'al. Or mention, La takul dhalik, not to say this. Because somewhat, don't say this. Now, stop the person on what he's saying, chastising the person on what he said. Then I mentioned, then explaining why you should not. فَقَالَ أَلَا تَرَاهُ فَقَدْ قَالَ لَا إِلَى اللَّهِ يُرِيد بِذَلِكَ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. That do you not see the person that, or know the person that said La ilaha illallah? So that's where we confirmed that he's now entering into Islam. So to say that he's a munafiq, then you have to come with something very strong and sound. Come with something very strong, as I said, a serious accusation against another Muslim. A serious accusation, like a person said that person is a zani. You understand? You see that person, is fornicating and da-da-da-da. That's a serious accusation. You understand? You can't go throw those things out in gatherings. You have to have evidence. And certain things that certain accusation is not wise to be said in public. Like something going online, yadu billah, and people throw this thing, he's saying, she's saying that he's involved, and you're discussing it online. That's mad. You show those people involved that your Islamic knowledge, you understand, and view of Islam is very low. You understand? You're accusing the person zina online. That will matter go to the courts. You understand? So if you don't have evidence, they just don't say anything. If you don't have proof, don't say anything. And even if matter is going around, it's not for you. You understand? In public, you don't need everyone to be commenting on something like this. It's not something that said reaction, what they call reaction videos. You understand? You're going to react to a person being accused of zina or a person accused of murder. You don't need to react to that. You just leave those matters. And less attention. But people do it because they want what? Attention. So certain matters you find that people discussing concerning the people that talib al-ilm, they know those matters are discussed behind the scenes. Regarding certain type of, certain things are discussed behind the scenes, not in front of the public. Regarding certain accusation, those things are serious. Of this hadith, which is the next discussion, that these hadith are concerned, they said that these hadith are used regarding concern the Prophet ﷺ, when they mention a person, that they mention Ala tarahu faqad qala la ilallah yurid bidhalik wajh Allah. But didn't mention about the person actions, just saying la ilallah. So he didn't per se attach the person or try to the Prophet in defense of that person. He mentioned on the person saying la ilallah, nothing else. But the person, salat, siyam, and his good deeds, none of those things were mentioned. So someone said, so is this sufficient to say the person saying la ilaha illallah, that's sufficient regarding him being considered to be in Islam, and action, whatever action that he does not, whatever action that he may not do, does not remove him from the fold of Islam. Because a person only can somewhat confirm for him saying just la ilaha illallah, but not in salat, not siyam or anything else. So does it mean just by saying la ilaha illallah, then that is sufficient for a person to be considered to be a Muslim regardless of what he does or do not do of Islam? So that this hadith is there. So you find that in this case regarding concerning this matter, is this hadith is just one of the hadith of many hadith relating to this topic. Some of those hadith they call them hadith al-irja, by way of the hadith that they mention about la ilaha illallah without mention about actions, but they are not to be taken on their own. So you find the people who take this hadith on their own from their zahir and just use this hadith, said la ilaha illallah is sufficient, then they fall into irja. They call into what they call the murjia. They fall concerned that action is not actions is not a part of iman. They say action is not a part of iman. So that's what the person do. You say la ilaha illallah, do whatever you want to do, and you're still Muslim, and your iman is still like that of the still good and strong. Then that is irja. Where the person does look to the person that's saying la ilaha illallah, and that's sufficient. As for your action, it doesn't mean anything. It means something, but not to the extent where it doesn't change your status in Islam. Then that becomes a problem. So they're called murjia. They call al-murjia. And also, so that's concerning those matters. So that's inshallah ta'ala. And also the mention regarding concern with the hadith, when a proper time came to the person out to do that act, then the person can somewhat, gather some people to have a meal with the Prophet of Islam. Show concerns that the people gathering concerning a person of honor. So you have a person like Ilm that is present for the people to gather with them, and in that you have the occasion where you can put your questions to them. Now in a more private setting. So when the people of Ilm are present, then for the person to try to benefit from them, and to be in their presence, and we said mainly to be in their presence to benefit from them by way of either the akhlaq or by the things that they may say and a question that you may able to pose to them. So that inshallah ta'ala will end and stop here. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq.